Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching. The wheels are rolling on season 4 for the club, season 5 for us, Justin, and I think we got a little more of a show today where there's not as much, brand new news, right? There's a couple signings that have been reaffirmed or confirmed for us. There's a couple new news bits, some quotes, Justin, that we can kind of pick apart here, but look for today to be a little bit more first takey, a little bit more of a critical eye, a critical lens on some things going on, not from like just wanting to be critical, but trying to provide some analysis. Hopefully you all can glean a little bit more from. But Justin, how you feeling on the edge of today? We already kind of got a little bit warmed up here on the Soccer Down Here pod this morning.
Yeah, feeling great, Jake. That was actually it was refreshing to talk to somebody else about all of this because when you take a step back, there's been an absolute ton of news. I know we've been keeping up with it. So is everybody else, doing a great job on all social media. And Jesus Christ, the city admin, he needs to go on like a summer break at this point for the amount of news that's been dropping on. Like, what did he say this morning? It was like 13 total between incoming and outgoings.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
Some of those are like volumes and incoming, and like what it truly is a re-signing. So there's been a ton of stuff that's been going on since Wray has landed. And you know what? It's been overly positive, I would say, just in general. I feel like the guys that we've gotten rid of outside of Klaus and didn't re-sign King Kess. Otherwise, it's like we're adding more pieces to the puzzle. Where they all fit, that's to be determined. But that's what we're here to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, indeed. And I want to plug, if you want to listen, if you're not sick of us, or if you want to hear a little bit more about Atlanta soccer coverage and all things there, is also that he's doing previews for, a lot of the other teams in MLS. Soccer Down Here is the podcast we did an appearance on this morning with John Nelson. Awesome guy. Great questions, man. I love some of the questions they were firing away. Definitely some, not hot seat because like no one really cares about us. We don't have a position with the club, but we can definitely weigh in and give some takes here and there. So you want to go listen and check out anything about Atlanta soccer and just sort of MLS in general, go check out Soccer Down Here. Shout out to John for having us on the show. Justin, retweet or delete time for us. Got to get it off with a little sizzle here. And I think it's my turn this week. And I was trying to find like a spicy way to say this, but I don't think we've really hit this nail on the head yet. And I just want to make it very clear to City fans. No one's safe at the club right now. No players that have not been recently signed are safe. And I don't think that's the spiciest thing to say, but you could look at some fan favorites, some of those that we might have bought jerseys for, some of those that we go to Energizer Park to watch specifically, and we love what they do on the pitch for City. I think there's going to be some unpopular moves. Klaus might not be the end, right? It could just be the beginning. When you get a new sporting director, you get a new coach, and you're in this kind of balance between short term, mid term, and sort of the long term, you might make some unpopular fan decisions and have to wear it. So all I want to say in my retweet or delete is it may not be done.
Yeah, I'm gonna sadly retweet it and then swipe up on my app and just get out of there because I don't appreciate it. I agree with you. No one's safe. Not that I like it. But yeah, it's a tough one right now. And that's one thing we talked about this morning is like the amount of turnover in the club as well. When you think about sporting director, head coach, and now assistant sporting director, like all these things that are coming through here, and you have assistant coaches as well coming in with the new head coach. So just because you were here before does not mean you're here to stay. And also now, when we had that 5-year plan with Lutz, we're going to have a new 5-year plan with somebody else. So you might not be a part of it. And just because you're already here does not mean you are the guy moving forward too. So, you know what? I would hope, knock on wood, they wouldn't be making massive waves in the next even couple months. Maybe in the summer transfer window, I could see a little bit more. But at some point, we got to lock down this team. And the starting 11 right now is looking a little bleak. Obviously, when you look at like what's going on with Leuven from the family perspective. We're still having injuries in the back line with Falu Fall. And like we are having visa issues with Mbacke Fall. So it's like, are they going to be there? And maybe that's why we're already bringing back Polvara into the center back. So it's like, where is everybody going to be starting? That's all still to be determined. We'll find a lot more out after these, preseason games that are coming up in the next 2 weeks. But it's insane, Jake. We are, 2 weeks away from this coming Saturday. We'll be back at Energizer Park.
Yeah, and if you all haven't seen it yet, I mean, go check out. We just put a reel up today of the 14-day countdown. Sorry, 17 days with the man, the myth, Marcel Hartel, in some of his greatest moments in a City jersey. So go check him out on Instagram, on X. It's a nice little sizzle reel. So shout out to Justin for putting that together for you all to feast your eyes on. And the sporting staff, Justin, this is the latest news. So we're kind of starting from the latest and we can kind of go from there is, and this is one I think we don't know as much yet on because it's not official by the club either, but City has bolstered the front office. And you might look at me and say, well, didn't we already just do that, right? With, Wray, and he hired, a director of scouting and Colin Rooney, Slugrad. And now we have an assistant sporting director in the form of Ali Mackay. And Ali Mackay is an interesting hire. And again, we're going to learn a lot more about this in the coming weeks once this is made official and whatnot. But Ali's, position in history here in the league is pretty strong. He was the chief soccer officer of DC United. And some of you might hear that go, whoa, 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 hold on. DC, that's not nearly much to write home about. Agreed. From what we've heard, from friends, sources, sounds like the club is a little bit of a dumpster fire, as you can see on the outside, the facade, but you also don't know whose really role it is and who has a hand in that dumpster fire, who got burned. It sounds like there's not much you can attribute to Ali Mackay. So that was good news. Some of the better times we've seen from Mackay have been in Nashville in their front office. He was there before their expansion season as the GM. Obviously, that took off well because Nashville's just created a great franchise and very quickly successful. He was an agent, Justin, for 10 years, I believe under the Stellar Agency, which is a really, really big agency, and represented some big players. He also was responsible at Nashville for bringing in some big names in Hani Mukhtar, Walker Zimmerman at the time, back when he was a little bit younger. So I want to get your perspective, Justin, on this move before I weigh in here. But when you saw this, you saw the links, again, not official yet, probably going to be made pretty soon. What did you think about the hire? Because we've never had one before.
Jake, it came out of absolute left field for me for two reasons. One, had never heard of the guy before. Two, didn't realize there was such thing as an assistant sporting director. I guess is that common? Or like that's where I was pretty thrown off by this.
I don't think it's uncommon. I think everyone calls things different. Like Corey Wray was like an assistant GM, right? Or he kind of had a similar role when he was in Columbus. There was two of them that reported up. So I guess everyone might call it something different, but I agree it wasn't something that I had on my bingo card.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say is that it kind of shows where our 5-year plan is shifting. I think we talked about it this morning that when we had Lutz, we had a lot of Bundesliga 2 players. I mean, it was almost like a joke around the league for people outside of City and maybe even the fans here. We had so many guys. We pretty much just had like our own private plane going to and from Germany. And so now when we look at these guys, we look at Corey Wray, who's been in the MLS for 15 years or so plus. Now you're bringing in Mackay and also been there, as you already mentioned, with Nashville, signing Mukhtar and Zimmerman. This is a complete shift in like the culture and also the forward-looking aspect of City, because I think this is one where you're going to start to look. It doesn't mean they're only going to be looking in MLS, but these guys know the tricks of the trade of the Garber Bucks and all of this and how to move some guys around. And yes, we're going to have different recruits that are going to be looking still over in Europe, down in South America. But I think you're going to have a lot more of these guys that are coming in, not only from the MLS, but are going to be a little bit more technical and less from the Bundesliga 2, as we've seen in the past 3.5 years for this team.
Two things I liked about this, Justin, is age. Ali Mackay is not even 40 yet. He just turned 39. Joins similar ranks now with Corey Wray, who's also very, very fresh, youthful, and same with Yohan Demay. So you're bringing in guys that is. I think Ali Mackay, of the two, between Corey and Yohan Demay, so of the three, definitely the most experienced, the most seasoned, right, of the three, but you'd call it probably the most junior sporting position. And I do not mean that as a slight, by the way, at all. He's obviously held the CSO role before, and he's been an agent in big time. He's been a GM big time. So the fact that he's here, I think, tells me that we're investing in young, high potential, a lot of room for growth, not just players, but also executives. And I also think for Corey Wray specifically, this is your right-hand man now. We talked about Yohan Demay being really close in his circle and working, a lot together, long hours, long days together. This is another guy at the table that has done it before for a big franchise, has represented big players, knows how to walk into a room and probably own it, right? Because he's done that before. Like agents have balls, and you need a guy like that at the table. So maybe Corey Ray looks at himself, and then again, we're speculating here, looks at himself in the mirror and says, I could use some muscle. Maybe Ali Mbacke is that muscle to walk into the boardroom with, to make some calls to players with. He's obviously been great at recruitment over his time. So I for one, again, it's all to be seen and it's all to be announced still. But I like it. It's just adding more muscle to a room that just sorely needs it right now.
And this is a guy you mentioned the age, but I don't think people realize when you take a step back, like 37 years old, Jake, this guy's only 6 years older than us. He was playing soccer. He went undrafted after playing for the Purple Aces up in Evansville, Indiana. And then that's where he kind of bounced around for a little bit before landing at in Nashville and then at DC. And then, that place is an absolute dumpster fire. So I would not try to throw any shame or anything on him at this point, because he probably just got the scapegoat there, had to get out. And I think he's looking for a fresh start. The only thing I will say, Jake, is like it's some solid experience in soccer, but all in a very short time. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this guy's been around the block or time or two, if you want to take the devil's advocate to all of this. But I think for a club like us, being brand new, younger, you need a guy that's going to like gel well with Corey Ray. And I think this is a perfect fit.
Yeah, and before we exit the topic, again, another theme I'm seeing is you're plucking from winning organizations. A guy from Nashville. I think they made the playoffs all 4 years he was there in their, early beginnings. Obviously, DC's a little bit of a different story there. Don't know how much of that you can blame on him. Corey Ray was similar, right? Being in and around Columbus for so much of his life. And then you obviously have like that little blip of Montreal as well. Yohan DeMay being in Columbus as well. And before that, being with Greg Vanny in LA. So again, it's youthful. There's pathway with all of these guys, but there's also, they've been in winning organizations and winning cultures. And I think we're looking to take that, absorb that, put those pieces together and see if we can replicate it in one way, shape or form here at the club. So I don't really know how to feel yet about it, but I feel optimistic about Ali Mbacke. And that was definitely not something I was expecting to see happen, but we are here. I'm sure it'll be announced here soon. And in the midst of all this, Justin, we're in preseason. We're in Coachella actually right now. Supposedly, the team played a closed doors friendly today. They were supposed to, at least. I didn't see anything about that on X. I don't know if that was pushed off or whatnot. But I want to not color over what's already happened in preseason because we haven't really touched about it. And that is that we played the New York Red Bulls to a 3-1 loss on January 24th. And on our second match, we drew with Tampa Bay Rowdies, who play in USL, 2-2, 2 free kick goals coming from Santos straight off the plane, essentially, and Songbin. As well. So, I mean, not much to make of these. These haven't been like streamed. We've seen some clips here or there from our social media team and from the opposing team's social media. Justin, you made a call out on the first game, though, the Red Bulls. Did anything stick out to you in terms of what you saw defensively on a couple of goals that were scored?
Jake, it wasn't just that game. And I decided not to post it as a reel because it is a little disheartening. But I'll airdrop it to my computer real quick and I'll throw it up on the camera first here. Because I think it is important for people to see this. It was a little embarrassing in my opinion on how we gave up all 4 of these goals. So if anybody hasn't seen these yet, I'm going to turn the volume down real quick before I throw this up. But so in that game, we allowed 3 goals against the Red Bull, as you mentioned, and then 1 more again in the next game. And so every one of these, I'm going to share my screen for anybody that hasn't seen these yet. I'll throw it up on a story or something. But they all came coming down the right side, crossing into the middle, and then finishing. There's number 1 against the Red Bulls. And then guess where we go from there, Jake? We're going back down. Wait, sorry. That's the first one. Now the video's uploading. First one down the right side. Easy cross on the ground. Easy finish. Pass by the second one. Down the right side again. Cross to cross. Finish into the back of the net. Guess what, Jake? We're going to do it one more time and do a third one. Back of the net. Oh. And then guess what? New game. And then that one just crossed back as well. So it's one of those things that, yes, it's preseason, but from like a coaching perspective and trying to figure this out, I'm a little confused on what's going down the right side. Like, is that just through the run of play? Is that through something that they were possibly looking to get after on us? I know on that last one, it was Kyle Hebert on the most recent, but it looks like Timo Baumgartel got a little bit isolated out there on a couple of those. So yes, very early on, but also not something you want to see a trend in these first 2 games.
Yeah, and like you again, we only see what's in front of us. We don't know if those are like transition moments or if they just somehow picked us apart. Like you don't know. And again, Justin's not saying that, oh my God, this, write the season off. We're getting scored on in preseason. But when you see similar themes pop up on some of these goals, it does make you wonder, what's being done to address that or what the weakness is there. Because I mean, those cutback goals, that's a very common form of scoring in soccer, but to see it repeated, by the way, that's Cade Cowell, the new signing for New York Red Bulls, doing that on all three occasions for the Red Bulls goals, which was crazy to watch, but looks like he's gonna have a good season for the Red Bull.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, Jake. And I apologize. I feel like I maybe stuttered through that. The video didn't get up very quick. I'm throwing it up on our Instagram story right now. So for anybody that hasn't seen these, I will throw them up. And it is currently on our story now. So anybody listening now, this will be out here for a while. And if anybody wants it, you can DM us, but you don't really want to see it.
What's on deck? We've got matches against the Galaxy on the 11th of February and DC on the 14th before we return back to St. Louis on Valentine's Day. And we have 1 week of a lead in to the match against Charlotte at Energizer Park. So that's the rest of preseason. Again, we've had so little exposure to it. Usually I feel like they find a way to stream like a game or two. Maybe they will for the Coachella, maybe like that Galaxy 11th. And, I even skipped over the Austin game. There's an Austin game on February 7th. So we've Austin on the 7th, Galaxy on the 11th, DC on the 14th. That's a closed door friendly. It's not part of the Coachella Invitational. And then we come home. So we've still got 3 real matches. And Justin, I can see 1 or 2 of those being televised because I feel like they've done that in the past. Have they not?
They have. And I saw somewhere, maybe Tom Timmerman said something. I think one of the Saturday ones is going to be televised. So for when I say Saturday, that would be possibly this Saturday, the 7th versus Austin, or possibly then the 14th versus DC United. But I did want to kind of touch on those real quick. Johan May, before they left, he had some comments on how they're going to kind of play through these games. And then also some comments on the players, but more specifically, as we're talking through these preseason games, obviously we won today. It's a Wednesday. He said that it's Wednesday, Saturday is how these games are going. He said that the Wednesday ones are literally just going to be like an extension of practice. So if you come out and you see that there was a score that we lost 5-0, maybe we should be slightly concerned. No, I'm kidding. It just literally is the guys it's literally a scrimmage essentially for them. Saturday is where he's going to start trying a little bit, tinkering with the lineups a little bit to be more ready for our game 2 weeks from this coming Saturday. And it's going to have a more of an extension of minutes for guys. They're not going full 90s, but you're going to see guys get into 60, 70 minutes probably to make sure that they have their legs underneath them. So that's how they're going to go with these 4 games.
Yeah, and then, by the way, I didn't think about that. The Wednesday, Saturday, because I mean that's what you could get into. That's what your big teams over in Europe they play. Every midweek, every weekend, and we just from talking to some of the players in the past, you learn about how cyclical their preparation is. Right, like it's all very routine. You got to get the body into a flow of your game days on Saturday, but you kind of do like your T minus days where like on every T-5 you're doing the same thing, every T-4 you're doing the same thing, and you kind of like go heavy days, go really light days, heavy days, medium, like it's very, very curated. And I wonder, and it makes sense how preseason is kind of operating the same way as the normal season will, so it's not really a shock when you get down to it.
Yeah, it's not a shock to me, but it seems very condensed right before the regular season, which in my opinion, is very similar to how the U.S. men's national team is doing some of these pre-games for the World Cup. Like we're going to go 4 games in a 2-week span to where the last one that we play is just a week before our game. It's like, if anybody picks up like a, not serious knock, but a relatively like rolled ankle or something, you're not good to go a week later. Yeah. And I understand like that's soccer, right? But it just seems like a lot to shove 4 games in a 7-day span.
Right.
For these guys and then have 7 days of rest. So I don't know. I think we're never going to read too much into preseason. I think this is one where Johan May is just looking to get his guys into a formation, who he's looking to play and how many minutes they're going to play. But Jake, he did have a couple more comments on some of these guys, more specifically Valum and Dante Polvara. And then kind of from there, we're taking off into Cali.
Yeah. So I mean, let's layer that in, Justin, as we talk about Mbacke and Polvara, which have both been made official since our last show. And Mbacke, being the 23-year-old Senegalese center back that we've talked about, where had a great start to his career, one of the best young defenders in MLS, maybe history at his age, 18, 19 with LAFC and winning an MLS Cup. We got him for free. There was no transfer fee involved in this one. He only had a couple months left on his deal with Barcelona, but they do retain a sell-on percentage as well. So like that's kind of their compensation is if he takes off here and we sell for 5 million or something like that, whatever, they get that percentage that they've agreed with City on. So they'll maintain that. And that makes, when you're Corey Wray or that sporting director, you got to consider those things. Like, you might want to drive a harder bargain because you know that they're going to eat at your margins. But happy to have Mbacke. He's not here yet, pending the visa and all that fun stuff like you already talked about, Justin. But no transfer fee. We have him signed through June 30th of 2028. Remember, that's important, right? Because that will be the first completion of the first fall to spring season. And then we have options for 2028, 29 season and the 29-30 season. So if all things go well, we know that he wants to go back to Europe. We do have a good runway with Mbacke. And I wanted to pull out the quote that he said about him too. Corey Wray had this to say. So when we started looking at ways to strengthen our defense, Mamadou's profile stood out, and we believe he addresses some immediate needs for us. He's comfortable on the ball, reads the game well, and combines mobility with strong front foot defending. I like that, Justin. Again, this is a defender that, I feel like we like to call Rolls Royce right now, just because the defenders that have a little bit more of that holistic package, not just your brutes, right? Like guys that can not, really, really get nervous on the ball if it's past them from their goalkeeper under some pressure. Guys that can soak that in, maybe break lines with dribbling, definitely breaking lines with passing, but just playing a lot more composure, almost like a more of a midfielder mindset. It sounds like they believe that Mbacke has those tools.
He absolutely does. The question is well, one, can we get one of these visa things always figured out on time? Because now he would hopefully be able to be ready to go by the first game, but I don't think he's going to be fit. Like, I just want to make sure the visa's at least all figured out. And then, so by any means, if he needs to be plugged and played, we can, because we're looking a little thin at that line. But I'm very excited for this. I know you kind of came up with the wall of fall.
Yeah.
The wall of fall. I think between those two, we already talked about it's going to be some of the most exciting play as a center back, which is also going to be very dangerous. We're going to be playing with fire. We're looking to play out of the back. You could tell that if we're going to slide back Polvara and throw him right in between those two as well. He's very good on his feet. He's played all the way up the field before, so he's going to be very technically sound, which is a great spot to be between those two. But it also means that they're going to be passing it back and forth, and that can always be dangerous right in front of Roman Mbacke, who is a sweeper keeper, can save us at some of those times. But Jake, before I let you kind of hop into Dante as well, I'm going to comment one more thing on Conrad Vallum. DeMay had some comments on him. Everybody was asking him, like, so what's your position? Like, what's been going on? And what he said was very telling to me, but also still slightly confusing. He said he's going to be playing on the wings. He is not going to be playing centrally, but it's not confirmed what position or what wing at this point. So then Jen, our good friend of the pod, then asked him, what about right back, Conrad? Like, what do you think about that? And he said that he had extensive conversations with Corey Wray and team, and he doesn't see him as a right back. He actually said that before coming over, he loves his versatility, and he has specific plans for him, but it won't be on the right back side. So my question then, Jake, is, all right, take out right back. Don't know if that'll be Tutland, whoever, per Conrad. Then you move him up the field. Like, I don't think he's going to beat out Singbin. Obviously not beating out Hartel if we're going to put him on the left side up there as well. And then you move him back to left back, and he's going to beat out Santos. Like, this is where I get a little hairy on, or is Conrad Vallum just not starting after signing him for, what, 2.5 mil?
Yeah, I don't think that to me is the least. But I agree. I mean, you're hearing conflicting things, right? Like, you're hearing some messages from certain mouths and other messages maybe conflicting from others. I think we let time tell the message on this, but I do think Wallum will be in your 11, definitely your best 11 when available. But it's like, where? And because we already have the concern of like how he was used last season. I do really want to see him deployed consistently. And if he needs to be deployed elsewhere out of necessity, that's a different thing. But like, I would like to see him drill down and become a guy like in a certain position and become a name on the team sheet that the coach, DeMay goes for right away versus like, where can we put him today? You know what I mean?
That's where I did not like that he said like, oh yeah, Corey Wray really likes my versatility. It's like, or DeMay. I'm like, at that point, man, it's like, I don't want you to be our utility guy. I want you to have a position, own the position, and move forward with it. And Jake, I'm going to throw a little curveball in there. I think that Conrad Vallum might be doing a little go fish and like, hey, yeah, what about right back? Do you think you're going to go there? And he's like, go fish. And I think that, watch this, Jake, he's going to be starting it right back on the first game of the season.
We shall see, man. We shall see. So many mysteries up in the air right now. It's kind of fun, but it's also kind of anxiety provoking as well. But that's not it for us in terms of the signings. The other made official was Dante Polvara. And he was signed from Scottish Premiership side Aberdeen FC, where Lutz is currently the sporting director. and he was signed through the 2027-28 season with a club option for 2028-29. That was with the transfer fee. And we also had to go through New York City FC to get him. They had the first right of refusal as he, grew up through that academy. So we did owe them a little bit of the kind of knock on from it. So what I wanted to pick in here too, Justin, was Corey Wray had some thoughts on Dante. We're excited to bring Dante to St. Louis and believe he will add quality and competition to our group. He's a versatile player who can impact games both defense and in midfield. I'll stop there because we heard some comments as well from Yoann Demay about where, we think he might end up lining up, Justin. And I don't think it's where we initially thought, being a depth piece in central midfield or challenging for starting spots or minutes in central midfield. It sounds like they might envision a world where Polvara might start in the back line.
And Jake, I do think that that's going to come to fruition. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's obviously we don't have Fallu Fall, that it's going to be healthy right now. It doesn't seem like Mbacke Fall might be available to even start if we don't get this visa stuff figured out. So could he drop into the back line? Yeah. But when he was asked about it, a little hesitant. And he basically was like, hey, I've played pretty much every position. He said every position besides putting the mitts on. So he's not taking over for Roman Mbacke there. But as in his professional career, he's done that. And so as a stopper, yeah, you're pretty close to that back line, but it's a very, very different style of game. You are never turning around. You're looking over your shoulder. Like, yes, he's very technically sound, but he even said, they're like, oh, well, you can get up and get some headers if you get forward. He's like, yeah, I got to work on my aerial threat. I'm like, I really hope you mean just like finishing with that, not just like winning balls, because you're a big dude and I'm going to need that out of you in the back line. So if they move him back, not overly concerned, but it's like at some point, now we're looking like we have, and we showed that in our reserves. What do we have, like 6 sixes on the bench behind a starting 2 sixes? Now it seems like we're kind of compiling some center backs, especially when you think about like McNaughton and some of these other guys that we have brought in as trialists. We are really just starting to just have a lot. He didn't play well last game. Let's throw the next guy in there. We're just going to rotate him through, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I got 2 kind of competing thoughts on that idea. It's like, why don't we play guys in their position they've always played? Number 1. And number 2, like, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? And number 2 is, I get it. Like this, we're not the first team to ever consider having a central defensive midfielder or, a former 8 or 6 kind of drop back into the back line. Like that's been done before and it's been done successfully. It's also been done unsuccessfully. You've seen instances where that hasn't worked out. I can think of some good, trials that have happened in higher profile leagues and teams that, I've seen it work out. But again, it's not something that's immediately comfortable. Like there'll be growing pains with that. Just because he's good in the midfield and he's good in the ball and he's tall doesn't make him a great center back. Like it's a different skill set. But again, if you're looking for building a team that has defenders that have a much more comfortability on the ball, more than we're used to in our couple of years of existence, this is a start, right? Like you might lose some of the defending know-how by having him start back there centrally or wherever you play him in that 3 center back setup, but you are going to gain strengths as well. When Roman Mbacke plays him a ball under some pressure, he knows to check both shoulders. He knows where the next pass is at, where that bumper guy is going to be, like because he's been that guy before. So like it's definitely a trade-off when you think about it, but it's not a guarantee, but it could work out as well.
Yeah, and that's one of these ones where, again, nothing's a guarantee with these guys, but I would just love for someone to just own the position.
Yeah.
Right now, Jake, like, all right, look at our starting 11. Hartel is owning a starting position. Name the next. Like Mbacke owning starting position. But like Leuven will when he's available. Is there anybody else that you would put in Sharpie to be a starter consistently for this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, you also consider like injury and availability there. Like, because I would put Fall as a starter like every game in there, but like we don't know right now. We don't know what's going on. I agree. There's a lot of like prove it guys in this lineup right now, which could be good.
I get, and maybe I'll take a step back. I'm talking about starting in a specific position as well. Like, and like exactly where they're going to be. I guess Sangbin. I guess you'll throw him up there, and I guess right now also Simon Betcher. So I guess we have our top triangle and our goalkeeper.
Yeah,
those are the only ones that I feel very confident in, like starting on the first game.
Fair.
Outside of that, I would not be surprised on what 3 center backs we're going to do and what 4 players are going in front of them. I couldn't even tell you how many of them are, 1, going to be healthy enough to be playing, and 2, what positions they're going to be in. Yeah. Talk about Hollum going to the right side, Maybe Tots will be there anyways. Maybe Tots will go to the left. Maybe Vol will go to the left. Is Santos going to start? Are we doing Dirk and Edelman? Like, is Leuven going to be available? It's like starting to stress me out a little bit.
That first Hoffman Brothers starting 11 is going to be a blast for sure. Already kind of dreading that one.
Let's just put some silhouettes.
Yeah, seriously. God, God only knows. We could just put some text over that one. And also because it's not like this roster has a lot of holes left in terms of spots available. We only have one senior roster spot available now that Polvara is on the team. And the thought is that we have one because it's thought that he is in the supplemental roster. So you do have a senior spot available. That could be a DP or a U22 if you wanted to go that route. We have 2 international spots left. We have 3 supplemental spots left. If Polvara is on the supplemental roster, if he's not, you'd have 4, and you'd have no senior roster spots. And we definitely know we have Tam and some Gam to work with. But just in the window, she will be closing on March 26th. It's closed in Europe right now, but we are still open here domestically in the U.S. until March 26th. And then we will have kind of 4 months of the dark side of the moon, where whatever's going on, you're just whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen, because the secondary window, which will eventually become sort of our primary window, but still called secondary for now, will not open until July 13th. So again, once March 26th comes and goes, Corey Wray and team are kind of at the disposal of whatever happens in this season.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And so anybody that's not following along visually, shout out to Chat City Tactics, puts this together, shows you kind of what the senior roster is looking like from a senior roster, supplemental roster, international slots, designated players, U22s, people that are currently injured and or not with the club anymore. So this is very impressive for anybody that doesn't do that, follow, or doesn't know how to really put this together, because we just asked him like, hey, Mike, you got an updated one of these for us? Because that's a lot of work and we appreciate what you do. Follow Chat City Tactics on X or Instagram as well. I need to work with him and get that Instagram up.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make that a mission here in 2026. We have a couple talking points on this finally, like a little bit less from us, just we can react, right? But we also have some interview bits from Tom Timmerman's time spent with Corey Wray recently. And I just pulled a couple of quotes and I bolded a couple of specific lines I just kind of wanted to pick apart. But he kind of asked him like, what's left? So like, what are you actively working on this point? And he had in here that player-wise, we're still actively assessing options in terms of goal-scoring options. Like, obviously, that's something we have to do. Klaus just departed, and he said we will continue to assess the squad, and if there's good opportunities for us, we'll not stop trying to improve and add players when possible. But you also know that when you're talking about quality players, most quality players don't go on the supplemental roster. We have one spot on the senior roster. So I think that almost reinforces, Justin, like what I led with on the retweet or delete is like, you might see some potentially unfavorable or some, fan dreaded outgoings to free up some spots to actually get a little more aggressive in the rest of what's left in this window. Because if you want to fill with a goal scorer, probably going to be in the senior roster spot, and that's it. Then there's no more flexibility after that.
And Jake, the one positive is that we do a DP spot, so that it's not like we're just trying to fill a guy and we're going to have to do TAM, or it's not going to be the guy that we need. It can be the guy that we need. But this next comment here from Corey, it also stressed me out a little bit when it talks about how we're going to bring in a striker. And he says, I think just in general, it's not always trying to force something, which 100% all for that. But then it's the next part as to why he says that. He says, it's very clear that we could use some goals up top. That's missing, and some hold up play and link to make the team better. So obviously we're looking for kind of literally a Joao replacement. Question is, why didn't we already kind of have that lined up if we were willing to sell him? So he said, I'm trying to operate in the short term as much as possible without jeopardizing the long-term build. And that's where I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. And he's trying to be as flexible as we can. He goes, so this could mean loans. That could mean different creative opportunities to fill that void that's been left for Klaus. Which is telling me right now, Jake, that if we're even into loans and we haven't mentioned anything, it's very worrisome that we are not very far along in the replacement process.
Yeah. I honestly, Justin, as you were saying that, the quote that stuck out to me the most was that I'm trying to operate in the short term as much as possible without jeopardizing our long-term vision for this build. That is a very difficult balance to strike. It's words on paper, but my Lord, because it's like on the short term, you have the fans, right? You have to appease the fans. You have to give us something to get behind and be proud of that kind of staves us off of you, right? That keeps us happy, proud to keep supporting the team, like something that we can get behind. In the long term, though, is you can't do things in the short term that jeopardize your long term success. Like, we can't go out, or we shouldn't, right? Go out and get a 27, 28-year-old striker for $5 million because he won't be here when this project reaches its peak, right? So, and I'm not saying there's absolutes here. I'm just saying it's a difficult position to be in. I don't envy that right now because, again, it's two competing, pieces of the puzzle, and just picture like a seesaw, right? Because if you lean too hard into one side, into like the long term, for example, this team's going to suck in the short term if you're just sending everyone out and collecting money, like you're tanking the team. But if you prioritize the short term so much right now and trying to win right now with a lot of contracts coming up next year, and a higher salary than what we're probably used to on some players, overpaying for some, you might end up kind of bloating the squad up even more and preventing yourself from rebuilding. So it's a really delicate balance.
Yeah, Jake, and I keep coming back to this, and now I'm getting our episodes mixed up. I can't tell. I don't think I mentioned it on our last one. No, I couldn't have, because this news is coming out. So I mentioned it this morning. So go listen to that if you haven't already. But it reminds me a lot of what happened with PSV and Fulham with Ricardo Pepi. So everything was agreed upon. He was going to go from PSV to Fulham, $37 million move. Great job, PSV. You are absolutely pulling this off. But guess what? It fell through because PSV could not find a replacement in time. I feel like that is the spot that we are currently in. It's obviously, and we did it for 2.5 million. Imagine if you dangle 37 million. And yes, there's sizes to these leagues. I get it. But in my opinion, like, if we're going to end up having to do some loans or some short term to fill the hole that we left, then we're going to pretty much blow through the cash that we just got. And so I'm a little confused on what that plan was, and maybe a little bit behind the scenes of what was going on there with Joao Klaus.
Yeah. No, it's a good example. I mean, PSV, I think, is 17 points up right now in the Eredivisie. Like, they're going to win the league. I honestly think they probably should have taken the deal anyway, because if you're Pepe, it's like, you could go to the World Cup and play. You may not play. He's also injured right now. He's not even playing for PSV.
Yeah, but it's like his wrist or his hand.
Right.
Like, it's not, yeah.
He's only played 10 games.
Right.
So, like, I frankly, I would have greenlit that deal. Remember, Ernie Stewart, sporting director for PSV, is a friend of the show, has been on the pod before. Go back and listen to that if you have some time. But it's an interesting deal. Like, there's so many different competing priorities and leverage in certain places. Like, these deals are so complex, and if you look at them very simply, you'll never get the full picture because there's just so much to consider. But again, all is to say, Corey Wray has got to find the balance on that pendulum. You cannot swing too far in one direction, otherwise you risk the long term, or you risk right now.
Well, and yeah, I'll also take a huge step back and say, I'm reading tweets sitting on my couch watching TV. I am not running these clubs. So there is way more going on it. But just at face value, it's like, oh, damn, I kind of wish we would have done that.
He also mentioned, Justin, the need of 3 requirements for each game for center backs. So, like, he came out and just said 3 center backs is probably the move. That will be their setup more often than not, he said. He highlighted the big need to regroup on the defensive side, not just in position, but also in profile, not just technically, but also physically. Look at the guys we're looking at right now. Look at the trialists, look at Mbacke, look at Polvara. These are big physical specimens. You can see the alignment with at least what he's saying right now. And lastly, Justin, I wanted to hit this one because this has been really consistent so far in the recruitment, is domestic experience. We have pretty much solely recruited guys at this point that have either MLS or some level of American, USL experience through like a Polvara, for example. So guys that have lived and breathed American soccer at some point in the past, they know what it's like to travel to California, 6 times, 8 times in a season, to have to kind of deal with the legs that gives you, just the American product in general. It sounds like this is something that Corey believes can be a heartbeat of the squads that he's been successful with. They understand requirements of the unique league, very good for the locker room, and help integrate more of those internationals. So Corey Wray has definitely put a premium or a more of a higher type of prize on some of those more domestic products. So again, another interesting tidbit.
No, it's absolutely, and it's one that we've talked about. I think this is a shift in the culture and just city as a whole. So am I looking forward to it? Absolutely. Does it make me nervous? Because that is an entire shift. Just going into our 4th season. It's a lot of big moves going on, but you know what? I'm here for it, and we're always going to be here for it because we're all for City. Jake, other big news that came out in the last, 24 hours, 48 hours? The Olympics are coming back to St. Louis.
Mm.
The most popular sport in the world, known as football for a lot of people, us, soccer, has featured in all but one Olympic Games since 1900. And if anybody can remember, if you don't, wow, remember, I feel like we were all there for it. The 1904 World's Fair and Olympics was here. So is it? Do you have the World's Fair? I think it's after the Olympics. Is that how that works?
I honestly, I wasn't there, so I don't remember. I don't know anyone that was there at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, good point. I'll look that up, but I'm pretty sure that it's pretty much because you had all the structures built already for the Olympics. Then you host the World's Fair. So we did already host the Olympics once, but it is coming back in 2028.
Yeah, it's really exciting, right? I mean, we're not like the LA is obviously like the host, but they're divvying out some of the games for soccer. So Columbus has some games, New York has some games, other cities have games as well. I think it all culminates in the Rose Bowl for the Olympic, gold medal match. But for us, that's super cool. You know who's not? The folks out west. So it's really exciting. I think there's only 6 venues that have been chosen for this, and we'll host a men's game and a women's game. The men's will have a 12-team tournament. Women's will have a 16. Justin, it was weird because, and again, this is in the fine print on FIFA's website. The 12 team is not usually how it goes for Olympic soccer, especially on the men's side. The women's do 16, men's have done 16, but it is going to be a 12-team tournament in 28. And remember, Olympic men's soccer is different from women's. Women's is kind of like almost like a mini World Cup. But for men's, it's considered a U23 tournament with 3 exceptions. So for us, that'll mean everyone on our team, on the US team, I imagine will get an automatic bid, right? Or is that how Olympics even work? I know, actually, I guess we'll have to do Olympic qualifying. But everyone on this team, Justin, listen to this, will have to be born on or after January 1st, 2005. There'll be 3 exceptions that every team can have, and these rosters are only 18 kids. But I mean, man, that dates me as I'm saying it. But again, it gets me hyped up to see, we will have Olympic soccer in St. Louis, Missouri in 2028. I mean, it's the hotbed, baby. You gotta love it.
Yeah, Jake, actually, quick shout out as well to a St. Louisan that was on the most recent Olympic team as well in 2024, Patrick Schulte. And the reason that I chose this pick, because it cracks me up, because everybody on Twitter was flaming them because, like, why did our whole team die and go to heaven? Like, who chose this background? Like, they're all the pearly gates, and they kept doing this. But, yeah, you can see Walker Zimmerman down there. Obviously, he was one of those that was tagged in to be older than the rest of the group. But it is a very fun time. It's going to be great for U.S. soccer just in general. And I love that this is just continuing to roll, right? We're talking about it. We got the World Cup 2026, the Olympics in 2027. Like, these things are going to continue to grow, and it's going to be absolutely awesome for the U.S. and the growth of soccer.
And Women's World Cup in 2031. So it's like between 2026 and 31, you have 3 major soccer tournaments here in the United States. Unbelievable.
It's pretty insane, Jake. Like you said, dude, that's so far. Like, why even mention it? That's more recent than 2021.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Think about that. Yeah. So super hyped. What a cool news release. I was not expecting that. But St. Louis joins New York, Columbus, Nashville, San Jose, and San Diego, with the final taking place at the Rose Bowl for Olympic soccer, Justin. We talked a lot about St. Louis in the show, which is right. St. Louis is the soccer capital of the U.S. But as we're checking the time here, Justin, as we in rounding out, we've got some really, really big profile moves and potentials going on right now in MLS. Ones that, again, they get me up off the couch. They get me excited. Not coming to my team, unfortunately, but I can at least maybe want to tune in now to a San Jose Earthquake game, a Houston Dynamo game, an Inter Miami. Obviously, I'm already on Inter Miami, but Orlando City. There are some really, really fun, cool, both incomings and outgoings, which, by the way, I think it's so important to have the balance of both, because used to kind of all just be incomings, like, getting the older guys and having a 1, 2, maybe 3-year deal here. But you're also seeing us selling to high profile teams abroad.
And turning them down, Jake. So let's run through these, because these have been awesome in the last couple of weeks. All right, I'm going to take this first one. It is Herman Berterame is how we're going with that. Coming from Monterrey to Inter Miami. His market value is $8.5 million, $15 million fee for Inter Miami. Again, I keep saying I'm going to do this. Where is the cash coming from? It's like they are the banker in Monopoly, and they're just like, oh, they just keep grabbing the cash out of the box, like you're just trying to win the game. I don't get it, and I can't keep up with it. The other one that you already mentioned, Timo Werner, is an absolutely massive one for them. The German elite pace, very high pressing. Big clubs that he's played for overseas were RB Leipzig, Chelsea, Tottenham. He was there on a loan, but he is a great attacker, and it's going to bolster that Earthquakes offense. And then Mateusz Bogus, coming back to the MLS. He's a Polish left footer, has some long range shots as well. Kind of like a hybrid 8-10, can drift wide, but very comfortable shooting from difference. And I think that's going to be a huge one. As the Dynamo add him, his market value was $6 million. So they paid $6 million on a fee, but an add-on's of $4 million, which is pretty nuts.
And he's only 24 too. He's got plenty of time to keep going in this league. Bertrame, 27, Werner, 29. Of the three, Justin, I think Werner might be a little bit more of a flop. He's lost so much in his game, frankly, in my opinion. And San Jose is shipping off a lot of stars. Like, they're putting a lot of equity in Timo Werner and keeping him, keeping that club afloat. So we'll see, but still big names to bring in.
Absolutely. And so these are done deals that are going out the door as well. You have Obed Vargas, $8 million to Atletico Madrid. I think this was either yesterday or the day before. 20-year-old from Seattle. What an absolute crushing for them to make that. He's had 12 assists for this team. Still extremely young, but he stands out, and that's why that you're going to start seeing these teams from overseas start to pluck some of these young guys. Oh, what are the odds, Jake? Another one. As Obed Vargas is 20 years old, 21-year-old Alex Freeman, who has made a killing for the U.S. men's national team, and he was with Orlando, is now going to Villarreal and on a $3.5 million market value, but they paid $7 million for him, knowing his upside plus a sell-on fee as well. He's a right back for them.
Yeah, I mean, and the Freeman I love specifically also because he's an American. Obed was, representing at the U.S. youth national team level, did make the full-time switch the one time to Mexico. But again, happy for him. I know it was a dream of his to play for Atletico at his point. He played in the, not CONCACAF, he played in the, whatever the freaking tournament is that was here in the U.S. this past summer with like some of the other, like the Club World Cup. Yeah. Yep. He played against Atletico, and he had a great performance. And Antoine Griezmann came up to him after, and he was like elated. So happy for him. Like, what a cool dream come true for that guy. But Alex Freeman, it wasn't even on the radar, the last couple of years. He just had a absolute campaign, blow up season this past season. And he gets the move. He's going to Spain. He's 21 years old, going to a club in Villarreal that can hopefully give him some minutes and keep him fresh, because this guy will be on the plane back to the States of the World Cup. And he may not be a starter, but what he brings you in terms of physicality, in terms of pace, in terms of just raw power as a wingback or as a fullback, I like his game. It's really direct. And I love his trajectory, because this is the American way sometimes, Justin. I feel like we have late bloomers more so than other countries might have, that just all of a sudden they just say, it's my time now. And then they announce themselves on big stages and they command big fees like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I always got to say, because everybody else does, his dad was a corner or a wide receiver in the NFL for the Falcons, which is an awesome story. And then the one in the middle here, a little wordy for anybody that's looking for it visually, but I feel like all this information is important. So I'm going to read this tweet from Tommy Scoops. Real Betis is among the clubs that approached FC Cincinnati about a potential move for Togo international Kevin Denke, but talks did not progress. FCC is highly values Denke, would only consider bids north of $20 million. But it's like, wow, that's a lot. Denke, 25, he's happy in Cincy. Cincy just signed him for 16.3 last winter, and which was a record fee for them. And then also, the reason that they're looking for $20 million plus, Jake, is because this past season, for Cincy, he automatically came in and just made a huge splash with 15 goals and 2 assists for them. That is a guy that you want to hold on to, and he is happy where he is at.
Yeah, for sure. You got to love it. And MLS teams can also bully other teams, say, nope, I'm not going to sell him. We're going to hang on to him here, and he might want to stay. So, I mean, that's another incremental bit of progress the league is showing as well.
That was my favorite part of this, is I think the offer was $17 million, and I love that the MLS is now just saying no. It's not even like a negotiation. It's like, no, 17 mil. Try again, buddy.
Yeah, make it 17 and a half and we'll talk.
And Jake, there's some rumors that are also coming in. Maybe not as valuable as that, but from a name perspective, just as valuable.
Yeah, James Rodriguez. I mean, what was he? The story of the 2014 World Cup, right? Where he won the Golden Boot. Everyone talked about him, got the move to Real Madrid. Like, he was kind of more of an unknown even before that. Right. Obviously, the flames sort of gone out over time. And I don't think he to me is a guy that national team wise always shows up for Colombia, always shows up. Club wise, I don't think he's had the same level in terms of his career, but he's going to Minnesota of all places. That was a shocking move. It maybe gives a little bit of spark to some of your Midwestern or your non-coastal clubs that don't just have the same market size. That a James Rodriguez, even albeit it sounds like short-term deal before the World Cup, he needs minutes, needs to be here and honing his game so he can make the Colombian national team and lead them to hopefully some success at the World Cup. But again, a James Rodriguez going to Minneapolis to play professional soccer, didn't have that in my bingo card either, man. But I've been proven wrong before.
Also didn't have it on the bingo card that it looks like that deal is literally just going to be up until the World Cup.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, what would that be? We'd have the like pretty much all of March, April, May. So like a 3-month deal for him. So very interested to see how it's going. But yeah, Jake, you're right. 2014 World Cup. Simon Real Madrid was there until 2017, where he was on loan to Bayern Munich for 2 years, and then back to Real Madrid. And then after that, has just been all over the place. Has not had a consistent team for 2 years in a row, and was currently just with Lyon. So this guy has been bouncing around. Huge name. Another awesome thing for becoming to the MLS. Yeah, he's 34, but he's, again, that's what is Messi, like 36? Like, this is not the retirement league. These guys are still finding time to come in here, and it's just a random one. But this next one's not random, and I could see one of these two happening. Not one of these two. I could see him landing somewhere else. If it's not before the season, it will be soon. Denny Bwanga. Miami tried to offer LAFC for him $13 million. Again, Miami just coming out. And then, you know what my favorite thing is? Like, there's like, no, we're keeping this guy. Absolutely. But now it looks like Florida Mies FC, they're offering $15 million right now. It's like, haven't heard anything on this one. I think that's all as of maybe even Sunday night. So a couple days ago. But I mean, it's tough because LAFC is a team that if you want to win something, they are there. They have the pieces. Him and Songbin, they can do it. It's getting harder and harder to say no to that size money.
The thing is, Bwanga, what a special player. And the idea of him potentially, in some alternative universe going to play in Miami would have just been like, build a player mode in FIFA. Like, unbelievable if that would have happened. I would have quit the game. But would have been still fun to see what we watched. I think for Bwanga, like, he's one of the most exciting players. It'd be a shame to see him go, but LAFC they have that brand, man. I just feel like they do so well, and they have Son, who is one of the most marketable players now in the league, and get you a whole different audience too. I'm not worried about LAFC. If he exits, they're going to have the next superstar waiting in the wings, and that could be a Griezmann, that could be some other big name from overseas. Who knows?
Yeah, I just throwing this comment up from JT. Everybody's wondering it. We're not going to have any graphics for it or whatnot, but Ronaldo is obviously very upset, and it's mainly because of the lack of incoming signings over there in the Saudi Arabian League. So everybody is now making rumors, possibly making shift to the MLS, following in Messi's footsteps. Like, of the teams that are going to have the cash, Jake, it's going to be one of the two LAs or the Miami. I just don't see how he would go to Miami. Like, you can't end the career with the guy that you've been like not butting heads with, but compared to, right? I don't think that's how this book ends. But what are your thoughts?
No, it'd be really fun to have him come into MLS. I mean, he's definitely still got something to offer, and he's chasing down, even bigger goal tallies, and he just brings a personality and a celebrity status that would, I'm sure, even expand here. Whether that's in Hollywood or Miami, wherever that is. I would love to have him in MLS. I hope that he wants to exit, and I hope that someone throws the bag at him to get him over here, because I think it could be a similar type deal with Messi, right, Justin? Where it's like you get creative, you hook up with some of the biggest, brightest business people in and around your club, and you find a way to get creative and get this person in the door. It may not be the most classic way of signing players, and you may not have all the money to offer them, but in terms of what he will get here versus where he is in the Saudi Pro League, right? It would be totally different. Like, this kind of feels like LAFC, and again, this is speculation out the ass right now. LAFC, Ronaldo, and the black and gold. I'm not an LAFC fan. That'd be pretty cool to have Ronaldo on the West Coast, Messi on the East Coast.
And that's what's going to be insane, Jake, is that, like, you talk about age. That man has nowhere near falling off at this
Yeah.
point. And if you consider it like a fall off from what he used to be, absolutely, but he could still absolutely run this league. So yeah, am I for it at some point? Yes. I don't want to be like the retirement league, but that would not be a retirement league move. That's coming from a league that is spending billions on this man. That'd be pretty awesome.
It'd be a goat sandwich. Whatever side of the debate you sit on, you've got a Messi Ronaldo sandwich, and we can all just be happy and right in the middle of it, especially us in here in St. Louis.
Isn't there a chance that they can play each other in Kansas City for the World Cup if everything goes correctly?
I believe so. Yeah.
They're going to be in the quarterfinals. So if they both get out of their group, and I think they both have to win their group, and then they both win that game. The game's in Kansas City. We're not. It's not like we're like predicting the future here. If you go look at ticket prices, that game is the highest of the quarterfinals because people are starting to read into it. But just some little fun tidbits there for everybody to give you something to snack on there. But Jake, also want to give a massive shout out as we're talking about snacking. Super Bowl 60 is this Sunday, and this is a absolute massive one. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, new customers can use code BWSCL, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Yes, if your bet wins. You must then, in my opinion, Jake, maybe not a must, but you should throw some money on Super Bowl 60, New England versus Seattle. It's going to be an absolute barn burner. I'm excited for this one. Stay in on the action. Use your bonus bets on DraftKings. You can do same game parlays. You can do money lines, whatever your lot. If you do same game parlays, you get some bigger payouts. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
That's all right, Jake. That's the biggest one. It's the ultimate. So download that DraftKings Sportsbook app and get in the action.
2 more shows until the first City Game Day of 2026. Just give me a pulse check, Justin. I mean, I'm not asking you for your prediction on Charlotte yet, but I'll also give you my pulse check. But I want to hear yours first and how you're feeling. Just everything that you know right now. Are you feeling a level of positivity? Are you feeling cautious? Are you feeling a little bit of anxiety heading into this? Where are you at mentally?
Anxiety, absolutely. But that's just also like on a day-to-day basis for me. So still figuring that out. But I would say for this team specifically, Jake, I like Tommy Scoops and the boys over at Soccer Wise set our line at 42.5 points. Mm-hmm. That's an 11-point jump from last year. I don't see it happening. With the team that we currently have, because I almost just like talked myself down the road earlier this episode where I'm like, I can only name 3 people that I know for sure are going to be starting in those positions for our first game. And then 4th being our goalkeeper, which I don't really count because that's an obvious one. So it's like, that's frightening, absolutely frightening to me. Regardless, I want to be butts in seats. We're going to be cheering these boys on. But yeah, as I'm getting way ahead of myself, I'm going with a King Kess goal on us on a corner. For Charlotte.
How about 2 corners? King Cass scores 1, Tim Ream heads in the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that would be. Can you draw up a more painful scenario as a St. Louis? And probably not, unless Josh Sargent flew in, signed for the Charlotte, and then he also scored against us. No, I feel like I'm on a similar page. Just. It's always fun to have the team playing again, and I'm always going to be excited about City Soccer coming back, absolutely. But I think you'd be remiss if you didn't feel a level of uncertainty, a little bit of ambiguity heading into this, because I just think at the current moment, and it's not by design necessarily, just with that balance of short-term versus long-term, I think for 2026 season, you need a lot of things to go right. I'm talking about injuries. I'm talking about goal scoring form. I'm talking about players finding, a higher floor, even reaching closer to their ceiling, a lot of development and progression for us to have some levels of success. It's going to be a really scrappy season. And I think if we can scrap, you can claw points, you can claw games, as long as we don't look like and mimic a lot of the same things that killed us last year with blowing leads, not being able to get points from losing positions. As long as we can show progression, I want to see that for sure. But I am definitely not feeling like we're going to set the league on fire.
Yeah, but I'm going to put a little positive spin and some hopium on this one as well, Jake. The first year we were all cautiously optimistic. These last 2 years we've been let down. Absolutely. Look at where we're at right now. I don't think we can go much lower than where we were. And I think, you know what? I think there's a lot of guys on this team that truly care. And I think you're going to see a lot of fight out of these guys because guess what? On a positive spin of not knowing who's starting, that means everyone's playing twice as hard because that position is open and yours for the taking. So any of these guys that are going to get a chance either in the starting position or making their minutes for the last 30 minutes or whatnot, they're going to be going absolutely balls to the wall as opposed to some of these guys that could just already be content like, yeah, this is my starting spot. I'm on this MLS team, whatnot.
Yeah.
And guess what? Energizer Park is going to be an absolute fortress regardless of what is on the field at that time. I could not be more excited to be back for this team.
It's very much an F around and find out year for a lot of these players, by the way. Contract years for almost half the roster. Timo Baumgartel expires 2026. Kyle Hebert, Josh Yarrow, Thomas Totland, Edward Leuven, Tomas Ostrak, Chris Durkin, Cedric Toyshirt, Sting Ben, Celio, Simon Betcher, Miggy Perez, Yeziel Orozco, Brendan McSorley. All of those guys are in a contract year. Some of them have options. In fact, most of them have options. But that option is club controlled. That's not player controlled. So what you're going to see, and what I'm really hoping that is the bare minimum, right, is this tenacity, this never give up attitude. Guys that are in their contract years, there's something different about them, right? They're playing with some sort of glint in their eye. Like, I've got to go out and show it every single day, every match. And I want to see that because you've got half the roster that's waiting to earn their contract. So go out and earn it.
Let's be a scrappy team. I think it's something that we kind of thought was going to happen, like when we Jared Stroud days. Let's just be scrappy with these guys. And let's just have some fun. I would love to see some knock them out, or sorry, what is it? Get in the ring, knock them out. I just absolutely butchered that. But give me some fun soccer. I think we're gonna, and it's also gonna be pretty at some point. Johan May is bringing a very technically sound kind of philosophy to this team, so we're gonna be trying to be playing out of the back because it's gonna be scary at times. But it could be a lot of fun for this team. So you know what? A little positive spin. We're going to have a lot more coming after these preseason games as well. Again, playing chess, not checkers. Do not worry about the scoreline in these next 4 games. This is to figure out for the long haul. So I'm excited for this team, and I'm excited to be back into season and just a little over 2 weeks away.
Oh, boy. Well, strap in, City fans. We'll be here shepherding you along the way. Thank you all for tuning in today, and thank you for the support in advance throughout the season. It's going to be a whirlwind, but stick with us. I promise you some good times are upon us. And in the meantime, all for City.
All for City.